Mario Kart World has launched, and with it comes their most ambitious game mode to date, the free roam mode, where you're allowed to drive across the entire world and find collectibles while taking in some of the scenery and views. They basically announced an open world Mario Kart collectathon. If I heard this statement as a kid, I probably wouldn't have made it to adulthood, because I would have died from shock. This really does sound like a dream come true. So I decided that I was going to take it upon myself to try and beat the free roam mode before playing this game in multiplayer to answer a single question. Is the single player in Mario Kart World even fun? Is Mario Kart all by yourself fun? Who knows? But we're about to find out. The rules are simple. I can't play this game with any other players. I can't fast travel, meaning I have to actually drive from every single location to the next, no matter how far and tedious that is. And, most importantly, I can't look up the locations of collectible items, so I kind of just have to figure everything out as I go. So let's begin. Our journey starts, and it's kind of a massive foreshadowing on the rest of our experience. Oh! I don't know what's going on, wait! When you start the free roam mode, it just kind of throws you in, which on one hand is really cool and shows the technological advancement from the Nintendo Switch 2, because if the Switch 1 tried to run something like this, we'd be mourning it. But on the other hand, it's kind of jarring because there's no real direction. And when I say that, I mean at all. There's no real pinging system, no cutscene, no menu to see how much you've collected or how far you've gotten. It feels like when a baby achieves sentience for the first time and they're like at a Denny's. Upon opening the map, I noticed that there are apparently 3 different kinds of things to collect: P-switches, question mark blocks, and peach medallions. We're gonna talk about these 2 later, but for now, we're gonna stick to the question blocks, which are apparently spread out 5 per stage. All right, I'm gonna look at the order of the stages. We're gonna do Mario Bros. Circuit, Crown City, Whistle Stop Summit, DK Spaceport. So we gotta go to Mario Bros. Circuit. Please tell me. Okay, we're right next to it. We're right next to it, baby. So I need to jump off of this thing. All right, excuse me. We start to head over to our first stage, Mario Bros. Circuit, and for the first 24 minutes of gameplay, we have absolutely no idea what we're supposed to be doing. But then we experience our first breakthrough and learn exactly what we're looking for. Oh, I see a thing right here. On top of this, I saw a question mark block, but like a weird one. It was like graffitied on. We may have found our first thingy. Oh? Yes! We found one! Okay, we know what we're looking for. We have now realized that what we're searching for is an approximately 8 foot by 8 foot square, which you have to touch with your vehicle, located on a map that is estimated to be about 30 square miles long. To make matters a little bit funnier, by counting the available stages on the map, we learn that there is a staggering 150 question mark blocks spread throughout the world. So we had our work cut out for us. Found another one. It's right there. You see it? Sick. Yup. For Mario Bros. Circuit, I just kind of drove laps around the course hoping that I'd see one in the distance, but beyond that, I had no real strategy. Fortunately, Mario Bros. Circuit was kind of small, so we wrap it up in about 6 minutes. Gonna be doing a tier list for how hard every stage is because I think it's fun, so this is gonna go right here. We head over to our next stage, and I really do want to say that this does still feel like a dream come true. I feel like every kid who has ever played a Mario Kart game has wished that they could just drive off of the track and see what the hell was going on in Baby Park, because there's definitely some OSHA violations. And honestly, it is just crazy that that's what they did for this game. I do have more I want to say about this a little bit later, but for now, the drive is kind of nice. The next stage we hit is the Shy Guy Bazaar, which introduces quite possibly our 2 biggest problems with this challenge: verticality and rooftops. Looking for something so small is already hard enough, but having to climb on top of buildings and scan every structure is kind of tedious. This whole thing is tedious. However, we discover some pretty important tech: the rewind mechanic, which lets you rewind in case you fall off of a building. It's incredibly useful, and I'll be doing it a lot. Moving on. There needs to be a block up here. I could sense it, man, right there. there it is. I knew it. I knew it. I could feel it in my bones, man. Numero uno. Oh, there it is. It was right behind me. Rewind. And now I'm ready for it. Oh, beautiful. Yup. Yup, we found one! I want to quickly talk about something that happens in the world map that is genuinely so strange. There are charging chuck targets that spawn randomly, and you're supposed to chase them around the map. They drop item blocks which give you green shells, and you have to snipe them as they drift in front of you, which is actually kind of cool and exciting. Or at least it would be if it did anything, but it doesn't. Yeah, this entire thing is completely useless. And you know what you get when you defeat them? An item block. Bro, those are everywhere. We head back to the bazaar after wasting our time killing possibly innocent men. Then we find a block by scanning the rooftops. And another one that is on the wall? What the hell? Wait, that's... Hold on. It's starting to feel like I'm playing hide and seek all by myself. And I don't even get a turn to hide? We finish up the Shy Guy Bazaar by finding the last question block on the tippy top of a building. Then we get yet another world event. A nabbit with money that runs away from you. And as far as I know, this one doesn't give you anything either. Well, except for a sticker that you could put on your car, but those are useless. Okay, tier list break. All right, we're gonna do right here. That was ass. We drive over to our next stage, Desert Hills. You may be noticing by now that I'm not going in the order that I established earlier in the video, and the reason why is because I am directionally challenged, and I keep getting lost. I can't really blame Mario Kart for this one, because I'm sure they expected everyone to fast travel where they're going, but I'm not, so I keep driving to the wrong stage. But fortunately, when we get to Whistle Stop Summit, I do receive a gift in the form of a very easy block. I know by now that I should have been calling these panels the entire time. I don't know why I stuck to block, but now we are too late in the video for me to go back and fix everything, so I guess we'll just start saying panels from here on out. Even though we're barely on our third stage, I could already feel my brain evolving to search and destroy. I check the rooftops first, then I check the outskirts of the track because for some reason the question mark panels are never on the track itself. And then after I do that, I'm kinda cooked, I'll be honest. There's these little binocular things you can touch on every single course that lets you look around the map. And sometimes they are incredibly helpful and help you spot one or two panels, but other times, like on this stage, you don't really get anything because the panels are hidden inside of buildings. We get our fourth panel, which is on some parking lot on the side of the stage, and then the fifth one is hidden on a road that is like directly under another road. Whistle Stop Summit is a pretty fun track overall, but when it comes to looking for stuff on it, it's kind of miserable. Tier list time! Alright, I'm gonna put this, maybe below Shy Guy Bazaar. It's worse than Shy Guy Bazaar. Instead of jumping immediately into the next stage, I want to take a second and say that this moment right here actually impressed me. On paper, the idea of driving from one racetrack to another doesn't seem that impressive. Hell, it probably isn't that impressive. But when you leave Whistle Stop Summit and head over to Crown City, it's almost hard to believe that that skyline you see in the distance is actually a full-blown massive metropolis. For me personally, this moment almost feels like the first time Nintendo has been able to make something that actually feels next generation. It sounds silly and like I'm giving them too much credit, but as someone who has played Nintendo games his entire life, on every console that has felt a couple miles behind its competition, I can't help but feel optimistic for the future of this console. Also, this game is $80, so it better work. I have a huge love-hate relationship with Crown City. It is by far the most detailed track in the game, with multiple buildings, parking lots, structures, alleyways, and secret pipes. There's NPCs walking around that actually disappear into the buildings, a beach, and during the day and night cycle, it's genuinely quite beautiful. The negative part, though, is that I'm basically looking for a sticker in New York City. Do you know how hard that is? This is also the only stage in the entire game where you have to find 10 panels because it appears twice in the actual cups with different courses, which may sound like it makes the situation a lot easier, but let me explain why it's not. In just about every Mario Collectathon ever, whenever you miss an important item, Nintendo is nice enough to leave a gap in the tracker, which lets you go, oh, I'll check the end of the stage, or maybe it's in the middle. In Mario Kart World, that doesn't happen. So when you're down to your last block, you still have to check every single square inch. I'm gonna quickly pause on this screenshot just so that you can know how crazy it's getting. There's very basic ones like this one sitting on the rooftop, another one that is incredibly high on that wall, which I was only able to get because a truck with a ramp drove by at the perfect time, and then another one inside of that parking lot over there. Like, do you understand where I'm coming from? This is brutal. You know, I really do want to go into detail and talk about every single time I drove past one of these, or how many times I saw the same area again and again. Wait a minute. No, I don't. Moving on. After almost 2 hours of searching every single square inch, we finish up Crown City. Tier list time. Alright, now this one was so ass, man. It was so ass. Is there 2 of them here? Yeah, okay, this was double ass, man. No way, is there a third Crown City down here? Is this gonna be the world's first triple ass? DK Spaceport is one of the coolest tracks in the entire game. It's also the first track in our run that's very over the top. Whereas the rest of the stages we've done have been cities, racetracks, and mountains, DK Spaceport is a floating port that climbs to the edge of space. It's actually very cool and one of my favorite tracks in the entire game. It is also, mayhaps, the most vertical stage in the entire game. It is in fact so vertical that there is a freight elevator you can take to get to the higher spots on the map, which is tragic when it comes to looking for anything. It also doesn't help that it's built kind of like an actual port, so there are 2 huge areas you have to check alongside the multiple layers. Still, it was scenic, so I kind of enjoyed driving around, even though it took me an entire hour to find all of the question panels. Tier list time! Okay, we're gonna do... God, it was bad? It was bad. I don't think anything's gonna be as bad as Crown City. Maybe we do... Alright, we'll do it 1 above Crown City. With DK Spaceport done, we finished up our first cup, and a couple of bonus stages because we got lost. I feel like this is the perfect time for me to talk about something important. Direction. The free roam mode in Mario Kart World has almost none of it, which on one hand seems like an intentional choice to give the player a bit of freedom. But the way it's handled in Mario Kart World is kind of confusing. Remember how I said there's P-switches and Peach medallions to collect? Well, the reason why I'm not really trying to do them yet is because there isn't really a way to tell how many there are. Whereas the question panels are tracked on a stage-to-stage basis, there is no general tracker for the other 2. Sure, it tells you how many you grabbed, but not how many there are or even where they are. What's even more confusing is that P-switches seem to be the majority of what the team focused on. The panels are basically single-player hide-and-seek, but the P-switches are all separate challenges that spawn things, create waypoints, and use the terrain. As much as I want to sit around and touch every P-switch, it almost feels like a waste of time because I don't know what I'm accomplishing. I hope that this is fixed in like a later patch, because as it stands, doing some of the cool challenges Nintendo mapped out is kind of based on the luck of finding it. Same goes for the Peach medallions, which is why our current focus is on the only trackable metric: the panels. It's extra unfortunate because we're now 4 hours into doing this, and it's almost not really gameplay at all. This would be fun for like MatPat, who enjoys doing the math to figure out how much rocket fuel it would take to launch a gorilla into space, but for me, I'm starting to get a little beat up. Not to sound cheesy, but I'm realizing more and more that Mario Kart is a game best experienced with other people, or at least other CPU CPUs. Still, we have our mission, and gosh darn it, we're gonna get it done. So I'm gonna start moving a lot faster through these because there's only so many ways that I can say I search for panels on the flow. The next stage is Desert Hills, which is somewhat unremarkable. Beyond that, the panels are all pretty easy to find and just kind of out there, so we're gonna put this here. Yeah, here. Next up, we have Wario Stadium, which was easily one of the best stages in Mario Kart 64, the Mario Kart game that I hold dearest to my heart. Here, though, it's really missing all of those terrifying Wario PNGs on the wall, but besides that, it's really cool to see it in a new light. They added a bunch to it as well, like huge grind rails and pipes at the top of the map, but still, I do find myself missing the obnoxious low-res Wario faces everywhere. The panels aren't too hard to find for the most part, so I guess I'll just put it here. The last stage of the Flower Cup is the Airship Fortress. This stage kind of makes me laugh because if I recall correctly, Bowser rides these airships to like attack places. Seeing one of these is like seeing a warplane flying to your city, but in Mario Kart World, he just kind of moved in. You better be paying some rent if you gonna fly over this part of town. You're dropping our real estate. Surprisingly, the panels on this stage are pretty easy too. I think the classic courses are especially simple because they tried to keep them somewhat similar to their earlier counterparts. So if you see something that looks a little suspect, chances are that's where your treasure be. Tier list time! Alright, that stage looked pretty cool and it wasn't that bad, so I'll put it here. And with that, our second cup is complete. If that sounds too fast, that's because it is. We're playing Mario Kart Keep Up. Our next cup is the Star Cup, which features 3 of the most beautiful stages in the game, and one scary one. DK Pass is a legendary snow map, which is also like making me wonder what the hell DK is doing. He owns a space station, he owns a ski resort. What's next? Twitter? It's a pretty massive stage which stinks for searching, but everything is at least blue, so I see the yellow panels from like a mile away. Gonna put this one right here. Then we head to Starview Peak, which is definitely in the top 3 best looking stages in the entire game. It's a very vertical one, but for some reason most of the panels are inside of this little library building. I don't know if it's because I'm exhausted or because I've been doing the same thing for so long, but we drove past the final panel like 8 times. Still, this stage is absolutely breathtaking, so I'm not gonna get that mad. Fearless time! Okay, I'm gonna put it above DK Pass, but it was still kind of annoying. The drive between Starview Peak and Sky High Sundae perfectly encapsulates the best parts of Mario Kart World. Like, this is so high up on the map and would absolutely blow me away as a kid. It's blowing me away right now. Sky High Sundae is another one of those tracks that I can't help but fall in love with. I mean, look at it. It's colorful, it's made out of candy, and if you take a wrong turn, you'll probably end up with diabetes. Beyond one panel being hidden in the mega super duper bottom of the stage, the rest were pretty easy. You know, this one was kind of annoying, but I think I'm gonna put it on the top of not bad just because I like the vibe so much. Is that cheating? Is that cheating? And from the astronomical highs of 2 of the best looking stages in Mario Kart history, we fall all the way back down to one of the worst, Wario Shipyard, a stage that primarily sits in water, which is kind of annoying, and it has bad vibes all the way around. It's also with a heavy heart that I have to tell you, they got him. At this point, even though the panels weren't all that hard to find, I was kind of beat, knowing my brain was starting to eat itself alive from basically doing nothing for so long. I decided to call it quits for the day and come back refreshed. Okay, this one wasn't as hard as the other ones, but for the sake of it having bad vibes, I think I'm gonna just put it here anyway. Alright, now that we're on day 2, we're gonna change things up. As much as I want to sit here and explain every crack and crevice of every stage and tell you that I played single-player hide-and-seek for so gosh darn long that I started to develop schizophrenia, I'm just gonna skip through everything because that's not really the point here. As we continue to play through all of the stages left in the game, searching high and low for a yellow square while taking in the sights and the views, I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed, but not exactly for the reason that you might think. The controls in this game are definitely the best out of every Mario Kart game ever. There's so much tech added into this title that I'm excited to see how people break it in the coming months. Every conventional part about this game is amazing, but as for the open world and the single player experience, I can't really tell why it exists. It is genuinely so well made. Everything from the vibes of each stage, the amazing soundtrack, the lack of loading screens, and the day and night cycles. From a technical perspective, I'd say that this is about as good as a Mario Kart open world game can get. But I can't help but wonder why they made this. Conceptually, this is something that I think that every child ever has dreamed of at one point. To be able to drive wherever you want to go and experience your favorite IP with zero to no limitations. But children don't make video games for a reason. As a grown man who ended up looking for yellow squares for multiple days, it very quickly became something that I didn't want to be doing because it lacked not only a direction, but also an incentive. Maybe if unlocking all of the panels gave you a cool skin, or unlocked a bonus stage, or changed the routes available on the map, I'd be more inclined to enjoy this, but they didn't. All the panels did was give you a little sticker you can place on your car. Some of them are cute though. On one hand, I want to sit there and say that this game mode isn't meant to be beaten. It's not really meant to be seen from an objective perspective, and rather sits as a sandbox you can visit whenever you want to take a break from the actual game. Understanding the idea with that philosophy makes it easier to accept that it's empty and somewhat aimless. But I can't stop reiterating just how good it is. Imagine the map quality of a game like Elden Ring, but there's no enemies in it? Is this hell? Am I died? I spent another 7 hours looking through the rest of the stages. But I'll spare you the details because this wasn't really gameplay. I just slowly drove up and down every track and hoped to get to the end of it. After a staggering 12 hours and 47 minutes, we finished up all 150 question panels in the game. And as much as I somewhat enjoyed viewing every inch of this map, I can definitely say that this challenge overstayed its welcome. But that's not really Mario Kart's fault. I've now realized the answer to the question of this video. Mario Kart games are not that fun alone. Mario Kart is not a game that you're supposed to play by yourself. It's a party game that is best shared with friends, or CPUs, other racers, you get what I'm saying. Whether it be battling, racing, or just driving around and enjoying the sights, it's a vessel to explore connections with others while moving at 200 miles per hour. Knowing that there are literally hundreds of P-switch challenges on the map, on the third day, I excitedly invited my girlfriend into a lobby so that we could accomplish these together. And that's when I found out the P-switches only spawn in single player? Nintendo, what are we doing? I'm so optimistic that Nintendo is actually going to do something insane with this world. Like a massive update down the line, and I really hope they do because there's so much life and beauty in it. I just wish that I had a reason to stare at said life and beauty, but as it currently stands, I probably wouldn't recommend doing this, at least without looking stuff up. The game's still good though. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have Mario Kart World, please let me know how you feel about it in the comments. I absolutely love it, but I know some people haven't been a fan of driving from one racetrack to another. I think the racing is actually really fun this time around, and have another very funny video coming out where I competed in a tournament. So if that video's out, I'm gonna link it right here. And if it's not, I won't. Goodbye. Oh, before I go, here's the
Here's the final tier list. I didn't forget about that.